Okay. Somebody says we're live. Here we go. And here we go. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Cueing the funky music, he said. Gleefully. Why is there glare? We are here today, April 7th. No. May 7th, man. Monday, 2018. And today's show is a show about Maschinen Krieger, a work in progress. The LUM-168 CAMEL. And other things I've been working on. Other things we want to see. Other things we want to do. Other things we want to talk about. Other things we want to listen to. And that's going to be an hour-long show, 20 minutes of which we talk about WIP. And then also another half an hour of which we talk about a tech tip today. So here we are. I wonder what that is, always picking up something. It is, that's what it is. I never mute that one. Okay. Tomorrow I'll remember to mute that one. Anyway, it's been a whip-wise, not too much whipping. A little this morning, actually. I did it just because I had the time. Worked on a little last night. What was happening? It's like dim sum picking it off the tray. No, he did get through me. I think yesterday we were looking at this tubing, but I did get a chance to glue it in. Yay, it's been glued in. So these little rubbery things do not pop out when you handle this. And handling is probably something that it can probably take enough of. These are an interesting detail. Again, the heel seems. Do you see a theme? Good double. So that was nice. I made sure I got these glued in properly here at the top. I've been using, it called for instant glue, which I assume is a translation for CA, cyanide, whatever the CA glue, super glue, whatever you want to call it. Here in Canada, we call it crazy glue. Anyway, super glue. It works. It's rubber. Doesn't melt the styrene too much or at all, if anything. And with this bit of flicking around, it still seems to hold, which is what I wanted, because we'll be painting and aging. And I've noticed that perhaps people will not put, I like to assemble the whole thing actually, up to a point where, well, probably be leaving the legs separate to paint, separate from the body. And I think they have been, if I'm not mistaken, this will be the connection joint, and it looks like a fairly sturdy one. Notice this, at least this width can take a lot of stress. So 2 of those to hold the body should be fine. And any type of angling and manipulation to come with that. So there you go. What other things are, so that was a doubling of said gluing and cutting. It's nice. I don't know if you saw the instruction manuals for those people who are just following along and jumping in. These lengths of tubing have been laid out here at the bottom, so you can just measure up the pieces of rubber. And like I said, they called it instant adhesive. So J1 mounting parts. And really, I'll say very nice instructions. So thank you, Hasegawa, for the effort. So there you have tubing glued up onto it. What else do we have happening here? Oh, this is, you know, this is something that, oops, here we go. This was another part. So I got into the body part here, which is the body parts. This is nice. There's a lot of articulation that has been thought out. So this is a thruster assembly. I do believe burner. They call it the burner. So this was a very interesting part. Didn't take too long, but I made sure I'll clean up a lot of the pieces, make sure that the very few seam lines that were there needed to be. Now, I'm not sure what people in the biz call them. Are these ejection points on the mold? And if they are, I believe that they will not be seen. So anyway, keeping in mind, I think this whole mechanism in the back is just basically a mechanism. Not to be seen, but to aid in the angling. Maybe if something attaches down here. I'm not sure. But nicely done. Nicely done. 3D model piece made out of plastic now. Didn't take me too long. And to go with that, oh, I think the glue has set. Yeah, so there's just a tiny bit of gluing that oops, let's get that. There you go. And this was the other. Oh, yeah, I was going to mention the nozzle. I don't know what. Wanted to make sure I got the, I don't know, I think short of turning out these pieces on a lathe, you will forever be, oops, forever be stricken with this seam line that it will be there from the mold. So, oh, gray on gray. Let's see what that looks like. So yeah, I tried my best to sand out that seam line, and I used the scraping X-Acto technique for the flat parts, and then a little bit of sanding. So this will be getting paint, and I mean in here. Oh, I think we're in. Let me refer to the manual here. They do have there is a painting guide, and these parts here, like the dark square 116 and 116, I think they call it black, dark gray or something odd. Anyway, it is going to be a dark gray of some sort. I think I've used that dark flat gray before, and we'll use it again. But hopefully it'll be thick enough to cover over this seam line that I've not finished yet. So that's that. I think there's more work to be done on that. definitely before painting, but that's okay. Just get through the build. That's where I'm at now. I believe they don't give a part counter, did they? But just looking at it, I know it's maybe over 100, close to 100, around 100. 2 sets needed of what? Oh, they're just, sorry, I'm going over the instructions in here. But anyway, part count, here we go, 160, there it is. Black, gray. Sail color. And I don't really refer to I never really referred to this color scheme too much till now. But anyway, painting at this point I'll leave to later, which is kind of my, I don't know, technique. So that is my pathetic work in progress for May 7th. Ha! That's okay. I accomplished many other things other than this. But it's okay. You know, it's okay. It's okay. This is a daily thing. And sometimes you work in leaps and bounds, and sometimes it's grindingly slow. Anything else to mention about? So I guess that's it. Let's talk about the future. The future, I said there's going to be something about a body. And the body still looks cool. And again, always the reference. Now we're about here. Getting this burner assembly. But the burner assembly will be attached. This is kind of a major piece that's starting to form. So this is already, the legs are done, the body's done. And as soon as we start to close in on the cockpit, which is funny, typically on an airplane or something, you begin with the cockpit for some reason. But with this Maschinen Krieger stuff, it doesn't really happen that way. Let's take a look. Here are the ping pong balls. No. Here's the very organic looking parts of the sprue. This is the sprue A, which I would hope they took lots of care making sure. Whoa, I love it. This is what I'm after. Like almost like a cast resin part. And it's a one piece. Nice. Looks good. And again, yeah, some very lovely details. So what's coming together tomorrow should be this lovely pot taking shape. And yeah, weird. Looks like it's going to be top heavy. Seems to be the case with a lot of these kits. But I've heard people putting, or I've seen people putting what, a magnet, like a magnet at the bottom, which is kind of nice. That would help to, I suppose, you put it on a metal base. And there you have it. So, pretty much it for the whip today. And I'm going to roll right into this tech tip part. I don't know if people have had a chance to look at the card up top, but please do. And other than that, we will be setting up shop here in about 10 minutes. And at the bottom of the hour, very close to, in about something, we'll just start right into it and get moving. So stand by. That's kind of funny. See that thing there? That is the IK Ma.K.WIP iRig mic. It's a lavalier mic, yes. Something very important to have is audio. So anyway, here we are, and in front of me, we are looking at today's tech tip, or continuation of yesterday's tech tip to finish off this, what I was calling a painting quick heavy rust. And to get this up to scale, we are looking at this sample off the top that I did. And this is one layer into the current sample. So I have let this sit, which is what I did not do on the other one, which I had done kind of in one session. This I have let sit overnight. And what do we have here? We have a layer of hairspray on top of a base coat. And on top of that layer of hairspray is a layer of whitewash, which I think I had hit pretty hard with the heat gun, so that was kind of dumb. I was rushing. So no, I didn't really expect to melt up this sprue like that. So, but like I said, I would not really recommend this to do this on any model that you care about unless you are really careful. So what you will do on a model, or if I am to do this on that muffler, I'm going to, maybe the muffler's not so bad because it's like a solid piece. It could take the heat, so to speak. But I think I'll just let it air dry. So anyway, getting back here, it's straight now. A lot of what goes on, I believe, here. Let me get my tool. Sorry. Just rearranging. No, that's why. Shit. I'll just leave it. Fucking, you know, you just can't fucking win. God, you know, I have to think about that time on the, what the hell was that show? Arthur C. Clarke's 2001 Space Odyssey. They're sitting there eating breakfast, looking at their iPads. What was I saying to you? Oh yeah, right. So here we are trying to pick away at the top layer of this whitewash, which is not actually coming off all that well as I. Now you can, ooh, see, that's too harsh. I went right down to the back, right down to the plastic. And there you can, that's okay. Like I said, I'm going to get back into this with a couple of layers. Layering is a, whoa, I think I inhaled some of that paint. Ooh, wear a respirator. The thing about layering is that you can always add more. Oh, you see that? What's going on? This is kind of, when you do it, when it's got a chance to harden up, this is the scraping back to reveal that rust layer that I based out the piece of plastic in to begin with. So there's a, so if you can kind of randomly, and I'm just kind of, don't cut yourself. Be careful, please, with sharp instruments. And I am kind of doing the scrape technique here. And you would see this, say, perhaps this piece of metal has been painted. Now, there's absolutely no difference between exposing the base coat or primer coat of olive drab, as you saw in the Gladiator. But in this case, we're exposing rust. Not a lot of texture has been revealed on this, so that's something to be aware of. The texture or heavy rust texture I talk about or I speak about in this tech tip is really layering on a heavy coat of this latex, and that layer of skin that forms will become the basis of the texture. And also more texture I will add using a product called Rust Vallejo Environment Rust Texture. And it's basically the dark brown color plus some sand, I believe, to add, as the name implies, texture. So also with rust comes kind of a gritty kind of texture as well, which adds to the kind of flecks of skin of latex that will form on the next few layers that I'll do. Yeah, lots of time. So that's about enough scrapey scrape for this layer, unless you feel more. I will show you something. Here, this is something I discovered or stumbled across or worked on. And here, yesterday, yes, you want to know what I did yesterday? I spent about an hour cleaning out my mixing trays because each and every one of them were dirty yesterday. So, little maintenance there. I use a bit of alcohol or this thinner, which is an alcohol based, and this will help break down. The last time I used it, so that's a lot of. That's more than enough thinner. This stuff is like freaking whiskey, man. It's $11 for that. You're gonna pour a little bit back. There you go. I only need about that much. Sorry, cheap. Now, what you do is you just take a little bit of that solvent on the end of a cotton swab. Whoa. Now, there's a lot there. I see there's bleed through. But here, I just soaked the top layer of whitewash a bit. And if last time I tried this, it took off the kind of layer in a neat way. There. Unfortunately, I see a lot of bleed through of that red. I don't want to mess up here. I'm going to pour out some cleaner here. So, it's just water. Well, this is all water-based stuff, so anyway. And I guess about all these techniques, you just want to take your time. Water is a great moderator to help slow down some of these reactions. And there you go. And then we'll swab a bit off. And it is coming off very slowly, which is not bad. Here, I'll show you what a strong rubbing of solvent will look like. Here, I'll do it on this end. Really getting in. You'll see the, oh, that's cool. Here, this is neat. You'll see it. Oh. Let that. Now, let me show the folkies at home what's been going on a close-up basis there. So you can see how with the scratch marks, that's definitely the distressing I did with the X-Acto knife. The Wave Corporation on the right was done with the with the cotton swab like
soaked in the solvent straight up and rubbing it off. And they're up in the corner. That's kind of a neat look in there. And let's see what else. On the left, we just have a watered down kind of version to show you in the other corner. Softer, perhaps, approach. I'm not sure. You be the judge of how it looks, but to me, that's a good start to a layer of what we're after, which is this. I don't know if you can see how these. Ooh, there you go. Perhaps we will do one more layer. I want to show you this bubbling effect because that's gonna sell this one for you. I know it will. So let's dive in, and that was just kind of showing that it's a really red rust. Anyway, here, you know what I'm going to do? Let's go in and get some texture going on layer 2. So let's get in there. I want the bubbles. We want bubbles. We'll go to bubbles right away, right now, right here. So how do we do that? We need 2 things of paint and this thing, the machine. The Maschinen Krieger. I wish I could put some music on because tunes are cool, but you know. Oh, here we go. The very, very, here, I didn't even shake it up. Hairspray. So we always start with a nice coat of the hairspray here. Oh, I didn't even work on the back. Oh, okay, it's okay. Let's just do the front. So that's it. Hairspray. Clean that up. Round 1. Hairspray. Okay, let's go that over. This is so loud. Anyway. Oh, glory be. You know what? I didn't think I even needed to add that layer. That thing bubbled by itself. I'll be a freaking... So here we go. That actually, sorry. You know what? I didn't even need to... I was drying. I was drying the layer of hairspray, and the previous thing I did yesterday bubbled up. So as I scrape, oh shit! Come on, sorry, folks. This is not. Oh, yeah. Sorry. You gotta. The monitor's right here. I should make sure you see what's going on. So here we have a bubbling effect. Maybe the heat screwed to the thing. So I'm just picking up the pieces of, like I said, skin that had formed, which is actually the skin from yesterday. Now there you go. That's a good layer that came. I didn't expect that layer to come up like that. So even beyond the alcohol and solvent rubbing and everything. These are happy things. So now, let's even dry this a little bit more, just with a bit of... Now, remember, everything I do with the heat gun is just to speed things up for demo purposes. If you want to not take the chance of melting your model, don't use the heat gun and just let it air dry. So, and there, I can feel this is nothing. It's nice and dry, ready for the next layer. Which I think right now I'm going to go right to the whitewash, which is, I think I have a nice layer of bubbling. Like I felt before, it was a little too heavy. So let's just say I'm going to go back and scale it back by 1. So let me get some of this whitewash. I say whitewash. This is basically flat white paint. The XF2. And let's get this happening here. Oh shit! That's I plopped that right into the solvent. New tray. Here you go. There. It's funny you can't see it. Yes, the solvent was so clear. That's more than enough. Whoops. Anyway, who cares? Paint. Wait, I'm not using a lot lately. So, did I not say we'll go right to the whitewash? We'll use a not too watered down, but it's shit. Oh, that's a mess. Whoops. Here. Messy guy. I'll go right back over the whole gosh darn caboodle. Boom. Kind of wanting to hopefully deaden a lot of that red that's bleeding through. So this layer is really got that happening. And there you go. This is a roll back and forth method, but if you don't mind the non-linearity of process. Oops, gotcha, mother. Ooh, I think I evaporated half my solvent there. Nice. So yeah, there you go. That is some really good skin and under paint exposure happening there. And I'm going to pretend that it was like, oh yeah. Yeah, we had some issues. We had some issues around here. We got to scrape off that layer and start again and do some stuff. And rust got infiltrated. Look at this. So there'll be a big blob. I'll take that bit of latex here on the end of my. Hopefully it'll turn into something. You know how grunge kind of sits in places. Especially along here. If this, I kind of imagine this piece of metal being a signpost. I don't know for whatever reason. And oh, there's a big blob of rust. And I really see it here in a kind of miniaturized version of real life. A layer of paint peeling up. So whether or not you see all of this color is not really that important, but having the end vision in sight is important to be be aware of. So there, and as we feel we've reached a kind of texture level here, I will lock it in with this heat gun. At this point, I would say that a lot of this texture is delicate, so don't be rubbing it with your hands or too much brushwork over it at this point. You will want to save that later. Once you've kind of got this texture happening the way you like it, you kind of lock it in with a sealing coat of clear glaze. That's that. Here, but I can tell this is dried up. So now, at this point, we'll just let that cool off a bit and get ready for the next layer. So as you can see, we have a little bit to go with this dark brown that had been incorporated here. So there's two colors that I'm going to add on here, and we are almost close. This is magic happening. I promise. Please don't let me down. Environment. Weathering effects Vallejo. So I'll throw this in. Where did I do with that stick? Oh my. I gotta take a little bit of it. Oh, crack. Snapple pop. Crack, snapple, pop. That's the sound my spine makes when I straighten up. Here, I'm going to use this. And I'll just scrape a lot of this up. It happens every... That stuff just pours out like a banshee. Shit. You know, it's like... Can I pour this? I don't think I can pour it back. Oh, whatever. They do that on purpose. Anyway, I think I got a lot of that texture out. You don't need that much. And I'll take a bit of this here now. And I'm going to put it on right directly heavy thick. And it will start off with the brown on the bottom. See that? And the brown really kind of is as much the idea of rust, the concept of rust, as the red. I don't know how to describe those two in concert. The red and the brown. Brown is just a dead red. A little clean brush. Let that sit. And washes are how we blend and add a distinct realism to this. So I'm going to go dark and light here. I don't know if everybody is catching the painterly action. And at this point we're there. Now again, I grab said heat gun. That I see there's not so that's the heat. Like I said, the heat gun is all about the speeding it up. So if you don't want to risk that, there's not a lot of texture. I have to admit, I don't see a lot of rust texture, a lot of this brown color, but it's add a little bit more along the bottom there, and it's a color that creeps up along the side. I will imagine that, you know, paint likes to cling, the whitewash likes to cling to flat surfaces, and where it has a chance to water has a chance to hang up on something, it'll allow for oxidation. So that's kind of my observation of rust in the real world. Oh, whoa. What happened to my solvent? Oh, there it is there. Here, it's getting a little. And you can also, if you feel it is too heavy and you want to pull it off, instead of water, add a little bit of that X20 solvent to add that, and we'll moderate back and let nature do its business. And you know what? Even here, I'm going to pull out one of these cotton swabs. I'll show you what I'm talking about here on the top. It's the whitewash from layer 1 that's still existing and has washed down. Layer 1 is coming back. And base coat is still there underneath the G. We likey. I think we are very close. When we like, we lock. We lock with the heat gun, or let's let it dry. So at this point, oh, that's lovely. Yeah, that's exactly what we want. Lovely texture. Now, this is, see, I feel confident enough that texture has been locked in by a couple of layers of paint. You know, in that Vallejo weathering, there's a bit of some glaze, something to help lock stuff in. It's good stuff. I like using it. Now, the one thing I want to add here is a little more whitewash back in at the top. And then we're going to add a little bit of magic. And we're going to stick a fork in it. And I got 15 minutes of whatever to go. Ooh, there's a layer of, I wonder if I could use that layer of latex. So I've got a little whitewash happening. Don't want to, I'm not going to be covering over any of this now. This is now very close to finishing. We must just highlight a little stuff along the top. If you can see that. And it's a whitewash, so it's a fairly liquidy thing. I don't want to. And just along the top, maybe a couple of hits here on this round part and down here. Ooh, and down here. Down here. You play. It's up to you. It's your world. You are looking for, it's your look. I'm thinking old rusty playground. You know, ever look at those teeter-totters or swing sets? This is like a swing set of the freaking Maschinen Krieger world. This is like, oh man, what kind of kids play on this freaking swing? What is this? This was a swing set of the 20th century. Oh, archaic. No, that's cool. We like. That's almost. Here, I'm going to lock this down. Try this up a bit. Ooh, I do see grit. I do see grit. Yeah. There you go. Sorry, that's why I use a little crappy sprue here. Yeah. Well, it kind of. Oh, see, that thing did stay there. All right. Oh, there's a couple of weird bubbles happening here. I'm gonna. This is kind of hairspray underneath it. It's still just a little bit soft. Anyway, so very good. Let's take a close look. You'll want to see this. So this is kind of what we're at now. So you can See, a lot of that red has died off, but it is there. It is there. You see deep inside the letters around the G and the L, there is that base coat of rust. Lots of whitewash and texture. Not sure, I don't really get why there's a lot of that brown on those flat parts. But I will, maybe some more whitewash. Now there's one thing we're going to get into here, and it's a little of the hot rust. That is somewhat dramatic, but I'm going to do a couple of things here back before we end up. We got 10 minutes left, so let's finish up this little piece of painting, weathering, rust, heavy, quick, heavy rust. Tech tip. So like I said, we will take a look at this now. Ooh, what does it need? Well, see, this is why I go through a million, cajillion of these mixing things. We are going to mix up a palette of hot rust. Actually, there's something we use called iron oxide. That's the name of the crap, which is already kind of right where you want it, but it's this color is not very hard to mix up. All you need is a bit of this and a bit of that, red and yellow, and a bit of, what did I use it last time? Oh, look. Aww. Aww. You go. It's a mess. And that's about all we need, honestly. And some this. 7. No, 3. 3. Red is 7. Yellow is 3. 1 is black. And you just need a couple of flecks of that. And it is seriously little tiny flecks on the rust texture here. Do I even need, no. And we'll just take our little tiny cleaned brush. Ooh, it's getting crunchy. No, actually I'm going to use this blue one here. No, I'm going to, here, that needs to be clean. Let's see, down here, let's use this one. Whatever brush you like to use, I just say make sure it's small enough to hit the highlights here. Okay, so what I'm doing is I'm going to mix up a little of this orangey rust. It looks like this. Oh, yeah. Yeah, looks a lot like that. So here, that is the color. Actually, it's a lot like the color of this this alpha blade, alpha holder. So then you just, I'm gonna, don't make sure it's not too wet, and we'll just pick up a couple of highlights in there. Gonna lay a little of that over there. There, and then it's, you want a little bit hotter, a little more red maybe. Oh yeah, see, just enough. Don't overdo it. It's a subtle thing. I kind of go where the dark is, kind of where the real dark, very close to the. It's about, I find, how do I describe it? It's all about contrast. And you know, if you put it, like, see how it even just kind of, what is that, red almost even. See that? There's a little by the G that's just missing. And you know, you use these little colors and bits of color to help draw the eye to something. Perhaps this word gladiator buried underneath there is something that you just wanted to make sure. Yellow. You see yellow. There's a little yellow. Why would there be yellow? We don't know, but it's there. Look. Yeah, it's a little too much, I know. But it's okay. Here. Put it there, put it there. No. Click. I was making clicking sounds like I'm using a mouse. And I've delved in both worlds, the digital, but I really like painting manually with a paintbrush. Now, let's moderate a little of this crazy red with some. I was always planning to use a little more of this whitewash, help deaden that. Again, kind of like we laid it in the last time. Repeat what my last thing was, which was to lay this whitewash along the top. Now it will kind of see what's happening. There's a little again, and what did I do last time? I put it right along the top there, down. Last but not least, I was thinking about these stupid things here. Oh, I went overboard, maybe a little too much emotion. It's okay. Paint with emotion. There, I covered that over. And down here, you see this little blob? Oh, Danny boy. Hear that red? There, I killed it. I don't know. What do you think? Here, let's look at our comparison sample here and see where we stand. This one, I would say, is a little hotter. And here, I'm going to go back in and a little more. I think we liked that Vallejo brown, the raw. It always sells it. So here, let's lock this red in a little. And I would say what? I've done how many layers? And we are pretty much about to stick a fork in it. And let's make this quick before we run out of time. I could paint forever. Just a little tick. And there. It kind of bled up. Around the corners. Then I'm going to wash this one back. Yeah. One Mississippi, two. No, that's kind of nice. There. Oh no, actually, I'm going to leave that mother. That's awesome. Look, guys. Look what I made. Look what I made. Here, I'll better dry this off before I end up here. So there you go. Quick painting, quick rust. Oh, that turned out well. You see that along the bottom round bar? Oh, don't melt. Here. Okay, one last look. And we are getting near the end. Oh yeah, baby. Oh yeah, there you have it, folks. Ow! That was hot. Heavy rust. Quick. And maybe about 4 or 5 layers. And I did that with a heat gun. I did that with a couple of paints. And I hope you like this demo. You can take whatever you want out of it and go with it your way. Those are just things that I did. Look at that. Look at that down at the bottom. That's like whitewash and layers of hairspray and neat things. So All right. That is it. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you. That is it? Yes, that is it. Sorry, I wasn't speaking to the mic, man. Yeah, that is it. Thank you, everyone. We have seen the creation of the Rust for this episode. No, this is really my first tech tip thing. Maybe there's more stuff I could do. I don't know. Maybe when I get into the Gladiator weathering, I'll show you kind of more subtle weathering, not this crazy rust heat gun melted sprue stuff, but this stuff is fun. I like it too. And hey, remember, if you've not done so already, subscribe, because I'm going to make more of these things because it's fun. And it's been motivating me to get my whip whipped. There's a lot of stuff over there that's come about. And thanks for joining me. Y'all come back now. Yeah.